In this video, I am going to show you my new car, which is a pickup, and I will explain why I bought it. After a few years of searching and several attempts, failed to get the pickup I wanted. I have finally found her. She has a lizard. I will take this away from you, but just so you can understand why I bought it, looking bad and being so disgusting, I will explain to you in short the story of why it is so special. And as you all know, the pickups have always been very popular in America and Europe. Almost nothing. It is very rare to find one, and the few that are available are decent. But there, from the first automobiles such as the Forte, people were already modifying them to add a cargo box back, and this is how they began to offer themselves as an option. And as the top 3 U.S. manufacturers dominated the market for decades, and of course while gasoline was cheap, as they were growing in size and weight, being the only option you could buy. But since the 1960s, the pants were introduced to the American market, selling tiny low-con cars, and it was no different with the pickups, so young people started buying smaller UPS picks of Japanese brands such as Toyota and Datsun. And of course, the American brands, seeing that the Japanese women were fucking them, land had to adapt to this demand, offering something similar. But so similar that what they did was directly buy a percentage of those Japanese companies that manufactured small UPS pick, and they were directly asked to make them the same car, but with its brand logos. This is how the Mazda B series went on sale as Ford Courier, the Isuzu D-Max as Chevrolet Love, and the Forte is like turning 50, i.e. they were simply Japanese pickups with a different logo. But still, all these models were like the second option. You could buy the main one, which was the big one, or this one, which was the small one. But just after that, the oil crisis began, and nobody wanted to buy giant pickups that consumed one egg. So in the next generation, American brands had already done their homework and manufactured their own pickups. But like Japanese women, small, light, and fuel-efficient content, so it in sales, and they only rode small and underpowered engines in Plan 80, 110 horsepower, but the quality of construction was on another level. Compared to Japanese women, were much more resistant and could carry twice as much weight. But maybe it came after this, and it wasn't long before. Chevrolet with a GMC secondary company. They got an engine going, powerful in one of these light pickups, and this is how GMC was born. Cyclone, which was the fastest pickup in the world. And this was the case for 30 years. So they didn't make a pickup faster than this one in 3 decades. And that's what happens when you pick up a Chevrolet. S10, you lower the suspension. You put a turbo and an intercooler, and did not want sell it as Chevrolet so that when you go to the dealership you will not find it next to a Corvette and VS's, which was faster because this pickup was a donkey, that is 0 to 100 in 4.3 seconds. Made the covers of all the magazines because it was faster than a Ferrari, 348 than a Lamborghini Devil, and in fact it was only a few 10A away. F40, which was like the fastest and most expensive car there was. And all this with a pickup truck that you could load things behind or bring your family. And although people loved it and it became a cult car, it was a failure. Only 3,000 were sold. And it was mainly because people preferred to buy the S10 for less money and boost it. So I would like to get an idea of why I bought it in brief. Gather everything you are looking for in one car. Classic, i.e. simple, useful, fast, economic, reliable. But with many of the construction technologies that are applied to modern cars. How to make the chassis double-walled, which gives it more resistance and makes it lighter. Or to apply 5 layers of paint. Galvanized 0 first. Then they applied layers and layers of protection. And that is why, as of today, they do not have rust or not as much as other models. That you find them rotten, and they are not salvageable. That is, this model offered so many advances, which is like disruption between the classical and the modern, that is. In fact, they made a version. All electric. But they were only sold very few units in Plan 5 or 6 because its autonomy was shared. The thing is that after this model, from the following generations, when gasoline prices dropped again as the pickups began to increase in size and weight considerably to the point that currently occupy twice and weigh 3 times as much, but with lower load capacity. So to speak, it is the last light pickup that was made, and one of the best in history, although mine is not, especially not the best at all. Right now because it is an abandoned vehicle, but I think it has potential, and for all that I have told you, worth saving. That's why after looking for one of these, as they were all expensive, that is, even if in America you can get buying the owner a few beers probably here, it costs a lot to get one because there is no what's in Europe instead of picking UPS or vans, and the very few UPS picks are not gasoline but diesel, and I've already had some of these and I can't stand it. Such unpleasant noise and driving position. So I was looking forward to finding this one, okay? Even the big door told me. Fuck, what a pretty little head, boy. How cool. In person, it is much cooler, isn't it? Fuck, kiddo, they always come to play. Look how the tail moves. How beautiful. But when you approached, even though it was in one piece, was not exactly perfect. I already knew I had been abandoned for years, but it looked like a raccoon had lived inside. Is air-conditioned or no son of a costrocito, eh? Ha 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 ha, yes. From here, I actually didn't care about the carpet, but I wanted to see if it had soaked a lot of water and that had caused rottenness. Underneath it was just to see this a little bit. East rust. Yes, it was white, yes. It does have rust. And all that, but it is to be expected as well, of course. Another thing that mattered to me is if I was going to be comfortable driving it, that's good. Not in this state, but I mean in the future you care well. It's okay. No. I get nothing, not for sitting there, ha 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 ha, no, man. Okay, wait for it to come out. You, as if it were your life? Nothing. See how about anymore. The driving position, huh? Okay, I'm going very straight in the van. And at least here, I'm doing better. It is power steering, at least not yes, but it is not necessary. No, I have moved it by pushing it. And it's not necessary, and he has given him an incredible radio. Here to summarize. The owner bought it from a friend who stopped using it because consumed a lot and bought a Panda, which is the one I had seen because that consumed very little, and the new owner had bought it with the idea of restoring it. But he saw that it was a lot of work, and it took away his desire. Is that it has some oxides here, but still I was excited and wanted to restore it, and if possible, try it, and just by the way, to take her away by driving her. And although she has been abandoned for years, may not work. I got it to start. Tranqui, that is cold. Yes, no, it does not look bad to have 200,000 kilometers. Of course, one thing is to start, and another to move. But it was necessary to try. Wow, what an epic kit. Moves and goes quite well. And seeing that it was going forward backwards, turned and braked, I said I'll take it. And the salesman was a little, because I thought I was going to take it by crane. And I said to see if it has moved 100 can move 100 kilometers. But these calculations are not always like this. This is how it wiggles. Of zero confidence, and it obviously doesn't take long. A lot in passing something becomes super revolutionized, eh? And you step on it and it doesn't accelerate much. Well, wait, let's do the typical hey. Boy, man, I haven't gotten very far. Hey, this is dripping, I think it is antifreeze. Yet I was still making my movies because of how beautiful I was going to look. I believe that without that, can be very beautiful. And my diagnosis. Optimistic was boy, yes, he is losing. Liquid is because it has plenty of... I'm going to pour gasoline on it and see where it gets to. Let's pour 50 Doritos and see where we get there. This should consume... Jojo, come on, how is that one not written? Wheel, in fact, is not even of this car. That is, this car has another. The surprising thing is that I didn't consume so much even though it was so bad. Consumed less than 10 L per 100 and that the revolutions were through the clouds. How it goes so absurdly revolutionized. I have to make sure it does not exceed 100 degrees because otherwise the temperature will charge my engine. Yet going slowly I did. Hundreds of kilometers. I made it to my destination without any problems. And the first thing I did after fixing it a little bit was to go to the ITV because I bought it without papers, but you can get a duplicate of those papers. If you manage to pass the inspection and being a 1984 car, as it has practically nothing goes wrong either. So even though it looks horrible and it's disgusting to touch it, is really in one piece, so I got pass inspection and therefore get the papers. The thing is, when you tell once you've got it, it seems easy. But taking a chance by doing something like this is not something that is usually make people for that. If you tell others, they will tell you not to buy it, that it is going to break, that it consumes a lot, but I don't want that kind of negative attitude in my life. What I have done so far is only the first step, and what I'm going to do is restore it and I will show it to you when I finish it. That this goes on for a long time. My mother. But you have to use a pick and shovel, right? Clear. I found another capo of this one. I don't know if it's easy. The blazer wears it, but the door does not close properly, and not only in mine, but also in no one's, that is. You have to slam the door on them. That is how the gears are on this stick. That is to say, it is changed. There, this falling down. And as I say, most negative people would see it and say it. My seat is sinking. The steering wheel sticks in my hands. Or it can be positive and think, boah, this is so bad that it can only be improved. So take a good look at it and remember how it is now, because the next time you see it, I think it's going to be amazing.